Back on the show is Republican National Committee co-chair Lara Trump. Lara, welcome back on the program. How are you today?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm great, and 47 days to go, so we're rocking and rolling.
47 days to go, but I want to take a quick pause for a moment. On a personal level, and I don't think the media is doing this enough, I mean, you're a Trump yourself. The leader of your family has had an attempt on his life twice now in the last several weeks. Just on a personal family level, how are you guys holding up? How are you doing? I think it gets lost in the media that you guys are all real people.
And Donald Trump, despite what you may hear about him, is also a real person. Yeah, this is my father-in-law. This is the grandfather to my two children, Luke and Carolina. They're 5 and 7 years old. And, I think what my brother-in-law, Don, posted, and probably a lot of people saw it, on Sunday night, I think it was, really is true. The idea that we're now having to have another conversation with young children about someone trying to kill their grandfather is it's mind-boggling, and it almost doesn't feel real in so many ways. And I actually think, the kind of nonchalant nature of things right now, at least that's how it's felt to me, with which people would say, oh, another assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Let's move along. Nothing to see here. This is crazy stuff. This is a real person. This is a father, a husband, a grandfather. And this is a man who has given up so much to run for president. He didn't need to do this job in 2016 the first time around. He has lost zeros off the back of his net worth. He has had indictments thrown his way, impeachment, felony counts, and now 2 assassination attempts. And it is very scary and very frightening, I think, for all of us in this family, because we always worried we'd see a day like this. I'm incredibly grateful for the great work of the United States Secret Service on Sunday, who truly did save his life and prevented a disaster from happening. But it does make you think every single time he goes somewhere, every time he walks out on a stage, every time now he goes on a golf course, is there a chance that that might be the last? And it is incredibly frightening as a member of the family.
And, Lara Trump, we don't have much information about the shooter in Butler. We have more information about the latest person that tried to do this. Your governor, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, is now calling for a state investigation as opposed to a federal investigation that would involve the FBI. What is going on here with these big agencies? I mean, what is the Trump campaign's stance on whether or not the FBI and the federal government should be investigating these assassinations attempts as opposed to local police in the state?
Well, look, I don't know if I can speak on behalf of the campaign as a whole, but I will say that the response or lack thereof, really, to Butler, Pennsylvania, which happened in July 13th. And here we are in the middle of September, and we still have very little information. We have very few answers. I mean, you heard Richard Blumenthal, who is no fan of Donald Trump's, come out last week and say, when the public understands what we now as Congress understand, having looked at least the information that they have, it's going to horrify people and it's going to shock people. I think it's very concerning that we are 2 months out and we have almost nothing to show for it. And, this is the person who was the president and is the leader of at least the Republican Party and is the nominee for president on the Republican side of the aisle, and likely the next president of the United States. If we cannot get our 3-letter agencies together enough to produce the valid information and the necessary information that the American people deserve to know, I think it is very concerning for a lot of people out there. And unfortunately, these are agencies who have already really lost a lot of trust of the public as it is. And this certainly doesn't help further any trust in them. But I love that Ron DeSantis came out and said that. I think it's great. I think more eyes on things are better than fewer. And I certainly hope that at least with the situation that happened here in Florida, we get some answers and we get them quickly, and we can ensure that we don't see more of these sort of things happen.
And Lara Trump, as the RNC co-chair, I mean, you travel this country, you speak to the American people, you've got millions of followers on social media, so you're really tapped in, and you know better than most that unfortunately this country right now is super divided. I mean, I just go out here in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I just did some man on the street interviews, political interviews, and I can't believe how divided and how pissed off people really are on both sides. So maybe I sing Kumbaya too much, Lara, but is there any chance if Donald Trump is elected again as president of the United States, that he can somehow, some way, unite this country?
Well, I think the answer is yes, absolutely. And to be honest with you, it was starting to happen under his leadership, back during his first term in the White House. He talks often about the fact that people were coming to him, and people who had really never come to the table before, all in the name of everyone succeeding here in this country and really having this ability to achieve their American dream. And I think, people talk about, if Donald Trump's back in office, it'll be a revenge tour, this, that, and the other. And he has said, success will be my revenge. Success for the American people is the best thing that we can hope to see happen. And I think when we are successful, when people do have more money in their pockets, when they're actually back to work, when the job numbers aren't fake, when we close up our southern border and put Americans and America first, that really does lead us down a path of unity. And when we're all seeing the right things happen in our lives, I think we can be more unified as a country. So I believe Donald Trump was on the verge of doing it the first time around. I believe he certainly can do it the second time around. But you're right. Things are incredibly divided right now. And sadly, I think, you have to credit the mainstream media with a lot of fomenting of hate and getting people riled up and causing a lot of what we've seen happen in this country. And it started, quite frankly, the day Donald Trump came down the Golden Escalator in Trump Tower in 2015 to announce he was running for president. They started that day. They have never stopped. And, I think it really will take us as the citizens of this country saying enough is enough. Mainstream media has lost so much credibility, certainly places like ABC News after the disastrous debate last week, and their credibility is pretty much shot. But we're going to have to come together, I think, on our own, because we certainly can't rely on the media. We can't rely on social media. We're going to have to do this on our own. And I think it's when people start being more successful in this country. We know who brought it to us one time. It was Donald Trump.
And finally, Lara Trump, and thank you for taking the time to join us here in Arizona today. So finally, you've heard this thing in politics called an October surprise. You mentioned we're only 47 days out from this presidential election. Do you wake up every morning and get briefed or maybe check your Twitter account, check X? Are you just bracing for impact? God forbid no more bad news comes out and all of these assassinations attempts. But this has been the wildest couple of months. You have a sitting president that leaves his campaign. You've got 2 assassination attempts on a former president. I mean, when you wake up every morning, what is your mindset? You got to feel like, when's the next shoe going to drop here?
Yeah, I mean, sadly, that is the case. And, typically in traditional campaigns, yeah, you're right, there is something called an October surprise. But it honestly feels like every day has been an October surprise over the past 3 months. So, yeah, I think we all as a country are kind of bracing for the next 47 days, because I think we can all appreciate that typically things get crazier the closer you get to Election Day, not more tame and settled down. So, look, I think at this point, pretty much everything possible has been thrown the way of my father-in-law and, quite frankly, our entire family. We're out here fighting this fight because we believe that this country can be great again. And we believe that Donald Trump is the way to do that. And look, I want to just make a pitch to people out there who may have friends or maybe listening right now who aren't really sure if they're going to vote for Donald Trump. You are not trying to elect a person into the White House to be your best friend, to be in your wedding party, even to go have a cup of coffee or a beer with, although I'll tell you, Donald Trump is a lot of fun and a great time. You are hiring a person for a job. And you really have to take a look at the job Donald Trump did when he was in the White House. Whether you like him or not, the numbers don't lie. And by every quantifiable metric, America was on a path to success. Things were working in this country. You had more money in your pocket. You were safer. We had a secure southern border. We had peace agreements instead of wars breaking out around the world. And it was because of Donald J. Trump. So I hope people remember that as we head towards November 5th. And I want to encourage everybody, get out and vote early. If you're not sure whether you're registered to vote or where your polling locations are, you can go to swampthevoteusa.com. That is direct from the RNC and the Trump campaign. We give you all the information you need to know. And we make sure you're set up to vote this election cycle because, look, this is the most important and critical election of any of our lifetimes. So you can't take it for granted. We got to take this one seriously. Get out and vote.
A lot of eyes on the state of Arizona. That's Lara Trump. Thank you so much. We hope to have you on again before the election. Have a great day, Mrs. Trump.
You got it. Thanks a lot.
My name is Billy Harfouch, broadcasting from Star Worldwide Networks in Scottsdale, Arizona. There she is, Lara Trump, calling into the program. I got to tell you, whether you're on the left or on the right, you have to appreciate that this Trump family over the last couple of weeks has been through an awful lot, and I think that gets forgotten in the public and certainly gets forgotten in the mainstream media. It will not be forgotten on this show. Please subscribe for more exclusive interviews, like, comment, and we'll be back.